Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by the following. Indiana University's Center for Applied Cybersecurity Research, presenting Security Matters with tips for improving online security in 3 minutes or less. Main Source Bank, headquartered in Greensburg, Indiana, offering products and services to fit every stage of life. More information at mainsourcebank.com. Main Source, life needs a great bank. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Smithville Communications, serving Southern Indiana with high-speed fiber gigabit internet. Smithville Fiber Gigabit Technology. Tap the power.
And by WTIU members. Thank you.
Coming up on Indiana Newsdesk. Video from this week's Columbus Marathon looks like something out of a movie.
Wow.
Our concern at that point was the safety of the runners, because at that time we'd had reported runners passing between the train cars and underneath the train cars.
Organizers are calling it a miracle no one was hurt. But after months of planning, what went wrong? The latest in the investigation and an update on whether the runners might face charges for climbing on the train. Indiana's farmland is considered some of the best in the country. But with the pressures of development and falling crop prices, that farmland is getting difficult to maintain.
We're trying to get people to be a little bit more aware of the prime farmland, and that, we really need to keep that growing crops instead of growing houses.
The new farm bill, which went into effect this week, offers financial incentives for farmers to preserve their land. Ahead on Indiana Newsdesk, what the farmers promise in return. Those stories and the latest on this week's top headlines right now on Indiana Newsdesk. Hello, I'm Joe Wren, and welcome to Indiana Newsdesk. The farm bill that went into effect this week includes millions of dollars to restore farmland, wetlands, and grasslands. Conservationists have been working to sign Indiana farmers up for the grant money and help them use it to preserve their land. The program has been mostly successful in restoring, but the agricultural easements haven't been so popular. There's a lot to consider when you're debating signing over some of your property rights for what can be forever. Sarah Whitmire reports on the program and why some say it's critical to keeping farming in Indiana's future.
You got it.
Jeff Fisher really doesn't even need to say it.
Happy cow makes me happy.
On a nice day like this, there's nowhere Fisher would rather be than right here, surrounded by his herd of feeder cows. He calls himself the head cow.
I'm trying to get unattached to 2806 over there. She's the big lead cow, and she really needs to go because she's like 14 years old.
But getting rid of these cows isn't something that's easy for Fisher. Even when things got really bad the last few years and he was losing money on each head of cattle, Fisher didn't want to get out of the cow business.
Over the past several years, you just had to love cows to stay in the business.
But Fisher needed to find a way to reduce his costs since he wasn't making any money. The ground the cows graze on is his biggest expense, and Fisher owns 120 acres. Through the Farm Bill, states can award money to farmers who voluntarily agree to limit development on their land. Fisher didn't want to develop his property or farm it. He was eligible for the Grassland Reserve Program.
It's allowed me to keep the cows, but with about, instead of the total investment of land, they've given me a payment that has cut my land value in half, which really makes my return on investment bigger by cutting down the investments.
The government paid Fisher the difference between what the land was appraised at before the easement and what it was appraised at after. Fisher gets to keep the land and maintains the ability to graze his cows on it and grow hay on half of it. What the government gets in return are all the development rights and cropping rights. So in perpetuity, the 85 acres Fisher put into the preserve has to stay just like this, in pasture and hay.
There may be a time I regret it, but it's really working for me now. Or if I don't regret it, someone down the road's gonna say, well, that land ain't worth but half as much because you can't crop it.
Fisher cut his mortgage payment in half and says that allowed him to continue his cow-calf operation.
And of course, we're not making any more land. And with the pressures of development and just the choices that landowners have to make based on ag prices, some pretty tough decisions are being made, and we're seeing a decrease of our prime farmland in the state.
About half of the land mass in Indiana is farmed for either corn or soybeans, but that amount is decreasing. According to the USDA, 50,000 acres of Indiana farmland was lost between 2007 and 2010. Urbanization accounts for a lot of that. Each year, the state loses about 1% of its farmland to urbanization. That doesn't sound like much, but Purdue agricultural economist Chris Hurt says if you think about what that is over a decade or multiple decades, it adds up.
Over time, there's clearly need for planning, clearly need for being concerned about our agricultural land base that is in food production.
Critics of the perpetual easements argue the same thing. There needs to be planning. We need to evaluate a piece of land and make sure it's worth preserving before making a long-term investment. The pot of money is limited. Indiana got $3.4 million last year to divvy out for agricultural and wetland easements. That helped restore 52,000 acres of wetlands and 32,000 acres of prime farmland. The state got a new allocation of money October 1st. Hardesty says the state is doing well preserving wetlands, but she wants more attention paid now to farmland.
Sometimes you can make more money off of that 10 acres in the bottomland by just leaving it in pasture land, in like a riparian area versus trying to put in a cropland.
It's been 6 years since Fisher got his easement, and he still feels good about it.
Eventually, probably I might have got around to where I would have decided, well, I've had enough with cows and I'll cash rent this out. But probably not. I do like fooling with the cows. She loves to share a Coke. They don't like Pepsi so well.
Now for headlines, we go over to Alex Dirkman, who has the latest on this week's top stories.
Thank you, Joe. The Indiana Department of Corrections is starting a program aimed at rehabilitating those entering prison for the first time. The program creates a separate facility to house offenders who are serving less than 3 years and are considered low security threats. State officials say that will keep the offenders from being exposed to more serious criminals who could negatively influence them. The first-time offenders will also be paired with mentors and hopes that will keep them from returning to prison after they are released. Angie's List stock prices have shot up on rumors that the company might be looking for a buyer. The Indianapolis-based company hasn't confirmed it, but financial industry analysts say the company has been taking steps that indicate they could be considering selling the business. The company has reportedly hired bankers to explore ways to find a buyer, and Angie's List restructured its debt earlier this week. The company has lost money in almost every quarter since it went public in 2011. Amtrak officials are trying to prove the company should be allowed to keep operating the Hoosier State Line when funding expires in January. Gretchen Frazee has more.
Another company called Corridor Capital was originally supposed to take over operations of the trains on October 1st. But when the cities along the line agreed to fund 4 more months of Amtrak service, that timetable was delayed until January 1st. So Amtrak CEO Joe Boardman took a tour this week that stopped at several cities on the passenger rail line, saying he wants the federally funded train service to continue, rather than a private firm taking over any part of the line.
I want to make sure that this service doesn't end 4 months from now, because it was supposed to start today, and it didn't start. We're here. We were extended for 4 months. Just trying to make sure that we're working the right way with the people that want to continue this service, because it's important to us as well.
To show they're capable of improving service, Amtrak is also unveiling free Wi-Fi, limited food service, and business class seating.
Bats are mistaking wind turbines for trees, which often causes them to be hit and killed by the spinning blades. At least that's a theory outlined in a U.S. Geological Survey report published this week in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. Take a look at this video. The researchers used an infrared camera to track bats' movements near wind turbines at the Fowler Ridge Wind Farm north of Lafayette. If you look carefully, you can see a bat approaching the wind turbine in the top left part of your screen. Researchers say they repeatedly observed bats approaching the turbines from the back, going against the wind. They say that indicates the bats are trying to roost on the turbines, much like they would on a tree. Those findings are important because they could give wind energy companies guidance on how they reduce the number of bats their turbines kill. For example, if they're experimenting with technology aimed at deterring bats, those devices should be pointed toward the back of the turbine. You can now text 911. That's the message police are trying to spread, especially to college students. A public awareness campaign that kicks off this month is focusing on Ball State, Indiana, and Purdue universities. Text 911 is already available in Muncie and Bloomington, and it's in its final testing stages in West Lafayette. Police say calling 911 is still always preferred because it provides the dispatcher with additional information, but texting is an option and could especially be helpful in situations where the caller cannot speak for medical or safety reasons. Monday is the last day to register to vote for November's election, and early voting starts on Tuesday. The Secretary of State's office is reminding eligible voters that they can register online, but they can also use the state's new election app. The parents of missing Indiana University student Lauren Spears say they will appeal a federal judge's decision to dismiss their lawsuit. Judge Tanya Walton Pratt says there's not enough evidence for the lawsuit to move forward. The decision comes more than a year after Spears' parents filed the civil negligence lawsuit against two of their daughter's friends. The lawsuit claimed the men had been negligent in providing Spears with alcohol after she was already intoxicated. The number of students being arrested for drugs is increasing, according to the Indiana University Police Department's annual security report. IU police say most of those arrests are because of marijuana.
I haven't sat and talked to any of the students that have been arrested and, are you doing it because it's legal in Colorado? The issue is it's illegal in Indiana. We have seen marijuana that have come from California, Colorado, Washington, that is showing up on our campus. So that does have some influence of what's going on in Bloomington.
The crime report also shows alcohol-related arrests and reports of burglaries and sex offenses were down. Several Indiana public housing agencies are receiving funds from the federal government to help homeless veterans find permanent housing. The Department of Housing and Urban Development and the Department of Veterans Affairs are distributing more than $600,000 in housing vouchers to agencies in Bloomington, Evansville, Indianapolis, Gary, and Lafayette. The vouchers will be given to 127 homeless veterans to help them pay rent. A 4-star U.S. Army general came to the Crane Naval Surface Warfare Center yesterday to tour the base and look at whether Crane is running efficiently. General Dennis Vise stopped by a pyrotechnics plant where workers make flares for the Army to check out the facilities and meet with employees.
We've had a very holistic view of Crane, and I think we leave here better informed of what the requirements are, and even more so of the capabilities that this unique facility provides to our nation.
General Vise's visit comes a year after an explosion at that same pyrotechnics facility. And Greencastle residents are looking at a 47% water rate increase that could begin next month. Mayor Sue Murray says the city's growing population is forcing them to change procedures and personnel at the water treatment plant by April of next year.
So there's not even a lot of appeal room with the Indiana Department of Environmental Management because they're really just trying to uphold what the Environmental Protection Agency has mandated them to do. So we find ourselves in a catch-22, and we haven't raised water rates since 2006.
The rate increase will pay back the loans needed to complete the unfunded mandate. And Joe, the city will meet later this month for a public hearing and a final vote.
Well, and I know residents can't be too happy, but sort of the price to pay for a growing community.
It is.
Thanks, Alex. Coming up next on Indiana Newsdesk. The daughter of a Chinese scholar who was detained en route to Bloomington and sentenced to life in prison joins us in studio to tell us more about her father and why she is speaking out. Columbus police say it's a miracle no one was hurt, but after months of planning, why was a train allowed to depart in the middle of a marathon? The latest in the investigation and why runners risked life and limb to pass the train. Those stories right here on Indiana Newsdesk.
People are looking for more light and less heat. Washington Week viewers are going to get it straight ahead, and that's what they count on us for. When we do these road shows, it not only helps me, but it helps all of our panelists to find out what is really on people's minds. We want to let you know what the information is, and then you decide what you want to think. That's what I think is unique about public broadcasting. There's nothing else like it out there.
The fact that PBS is the most trusted media outlet in the country means a great deal to me. We live now in the most multicultural, multiracial, multi-ethnic America ever. There are a lot of voices in this country that need to be heard. I think that my job is to help Americans re-examine the assumptions that they hold, to expand their inventory of ideas, and hopefully to introduce Americans to each other. And we take that challenge seriously every day.
Welcome back to Indiana Newsdesk. The Chinese government has been receiving a lot of criticism this week, most notably because of pro-democracy protests that have erupted in Hong Kong. But a lesser-known case has also gained some attention. A few hundred people gathered this week in New York to protest the treatment of Chinese scholar Ilham Tohki. As we've reported, a Chinese court sentenced Ilham to life in prison last week on charges of separatism. His daughter is a student at Indiana University and has been speaking out against his sentence. She joins us now to tell us more about the situation. Johar, thanks for being here today. Let's just start off by talking about why your father has been critical of the Chinese government.
Well, my father has been basically talking about the human rights issue in China, and because my father is Uyghur, so his main point really talks about that Uyghur people don't have their rights to choose their religion, and they're starting to losing their cultural because of a lot of the government kind of use law to against us to have our rights, like for example like language and like clothing. All we are start losing it, and also some point we don't have very good job opportunities even in our region.
So then why would the Chinese government see that as a threat from what your father was saying? Why would they consider that a bad thing?
I don't know how to answer this question.
Well,
I understood, but like I don't know.
Okay, so then the court went ahead and convicted your father of separatism, but you say that that's not true.
Yeah, my father has been accepted a lot of interviews in China, and people spread those news and what is going on and what is happening to Uyghur people. So he was spreading those news to outside of the world, and he was trying to let more people know and paying attention on what is going on for on Uyghur people. So, and Chinese government doesn't want outside of the world know about this. I think they basically want to control us by themselves.
So last year you were at the airport with your father. Your father was going to come to IU to be a visiting scholar.
Yes.
What happened at the airport?
Well, last year I was accompanying my father came to Indiana University, but in the airport they arrested my father and they said they let me go. And before they set me on the airplane, they detained us for 2 hours in a small room, and they were interrogate my father. Yeah.
But they let you go.
Yeah, they let me go.
Why did you decide to keep coming to Bloomington?
First of all, I didn't really want to come by myself because my purpose to come here was taking a vacation. But they arrested my father, so I didn't really want to go. But my father asked me to come here because he wants at least there's one person in our family can stay in the land for freedom.
Now, can you go back to China anytime soon? Do you feel?
I don't think that before I complete my studies, I will go back to China.
Why is that?
I'm afraid since I published all the news about my father, I've been spoken out for him, I might fall in trouble if I go back to China.
Do you feel as if you're in danger for speaking out here in the U.S.?
I am currently, I think I'm safe, but I don't know what is going to happen to me if I go back to China. They might not set me in the jail, but at least I won't be able to complete my studies there.
Your world really has been turned upside down. Your whole life has changed. What's it been like?
Well, I didn't choose this life for myself, but now I have to face to it. I was a very, like other normal students, I was studying and hang out with my friends, but since my father was detained, I kind of not like, I'm more adult, more mature than before, and I have to think about more complex things than other students. I have to think about what is going to happen to my family in the future.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Columbus police say they're lucky no one was hurt when a train cut through the path of thousands of marathon runners on Saturday. Runners were only about 10 minutes into the course when they heard the train coming and realized it wasn't going to stop. It was chaos as they found creative ways to get around the train. Barbara Harrington explains why it also posed some serious danger.
It was the perfect day to pound some pavement.
It was a beautiful morning, so, we knew we were going to be running in great weather.
Cliff Huggins was one of more than 3,000 people signed up for the Mill Race Marathon on Saturday. He made his way up to the starting line, excited to run in the half.
There's always a lot of adrenaline going on because there's just this great race day atmosphere. People are all excited, and you're excited.
But runners didn't make it very far before they came across these train tracks in a very unwelcome interruption. An unexpected train was passing through the area, causing chaos.
I was probably about a quarter of a mile from the railroad crossing when I heard the train just do this really, really long horn blast, like 30 or 45 seconds, which tipped me off that something was wrong.
An Indiana-Louisville railroad train was barreling down the tracks through the course of the marathon. Thousands of runners were in its path. Some of them were trying to set personal records or get times fast enough that would allow them to qualify for the Boston Marathon.
The runner mentality is go as fast as you can and try to do the best you can.
Many runners didn't stop for the train. Some ran in front of it as it was heading down the track. Others rolled under the train as it came to a stop or climbed between cars.
To me, just trying to clamber between the train cars when you got a mass of people behind you is just an opportunity to slip and fall. It just seemed way safer to me just to walk around to the front of the train.
At his command post, Sergeant Matt Harris got a call that the train was running through the marathon. His mind immediately went to the thousands of runners on the course and the potential danger they were facing. Police officers converged on the scene to try and control the chaos, but they were overwhelmed by the sheer number of people.
The officers were trying their best to make sure that that there was no one in the way of the train, but there were, like I said, a lot of runners who went around the train that were, continuing on with the race, and like I said, we're just very thankful that no one was injured.
It's a serious safety hazard. Bartholomew County Emergency Operations Director Ed Ryder says never should have happened. He spent months communicating with the railroad company to ensure no trains would pass through the county between 7 and 11 on the morning of the race.
They did tell me that it had been communicated with the operator of the train that he'd been told earlier that morning to clear Columbus by 7 a.m. because of the marathon. And to what reasons that didn't happen, I just don't have that information.
Ryder says the railroad company has launched an internal investigation into the incident. We reached out to the president of the Indiana-Louisville Railroad, but he declined to do an interview. Ryder says event organizers and the city of Columbus did everything they could to prevent the situation.
You can do anything and everything you can possibly do, and somehow, some way, something goes wrong, and this was one of those times.
The train was only stopped for a matter of minutes, but every second counts for runners who are racing against the clock, like one of Huggins' friends who hoped to set a record.
He was just trying to get a personal best. He was trying to break 1 hour and 50 minutes, and he ended up finishing the race in 1 hour, 50 minutes and 11 seconds.
Race organizers say there's no way to adjust those times to account for the train delay.
Unfortunately, we don't have any way to know who got held up and who didn't get held up, so all we have is the official times, so that we don't have any way to adjust that.
A disappointment to some runners, but Huggins says it's certainly a race he will never forget.
Columbus police say despite reported threats from the conductor, no one was arrested for climbing on the train. And this week, a farm near Bloomington opened its doors to busloads of children. Elementary school students, their friends and family gathered at Peden Farm in Monroe County this week to learn how farms work. Owner Joe Peden says he hopes the experience allows kids who don't typically get to set foot on a farm to learn more about the animals and learn where their food comes from.
The main thing out here is to be an educational thing for the children, and we like to have every station we can where it's a hands-on station where the children can look at something and touch it and feel it.
Peden's family has hosted what they call the Children's Farm Festival every year since 1952. Well, that's the end of this program, but our work continues online as we cover the news in Southern Indiana throughout the week at WTIUnews.org. Have a great weekend.
Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by the following. Indiana University's Center for Applied Cybersecurity Research, presenting Security Matters with tips for improving online security in 3 minutes or less. Main Source Bank, headquartered in Greensburg, Indiana, offering products and services to fit every stage of life. More information at mainsourcebank.com. Main Source, life needs a great bank. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Smithville Communications, serving Southern Indiana with high-speed fiber gigabit internet. Smithville Fiber Gigabit Technology. Tap the power.
And by WTIU members. Thank you.